Shalom, welcome back. Hope everyone had a good week. So mine was
I
good.
definitely had a good week.
Yeah, yeah. We are on chapter 16 this week, so let's go ahead and get started. Revelations chapter 16, verse 1. And I heard a great voice out of the temple saying to the seven angels, "Go your ways, and pour out the vials of the wrath of God upon the earth." One thing I want to stop right here is what I saw. I was reviewing this last night. Was the vials are the wrath of God. So as we know, um, the wrath is for the wicked, not necessarily the righteous. So plenty of scriptures to prove that the righteous will be protected during this time, but the wrath is not for the righteous. So I know some people get afraid of reading Revelations because they see all this, but the key word or key phrase is wrath of God, not wrath of the Gentiles. Um, Verse 2. And the first went and poured out his vial upon the earth, and there fell a noisome and grievous sore upon the men which had the mark of the beast, and upon them which worshipped his image. Real quick, I think this, where it says the mark of the beast and upon them that worshipped his image, I think, the worship of his image is in your heart. Like how much you still want to be a part of Babylon and how much you love Babylon. Verse 3. And the second angel poured out his vial upon the sea, and it became as blood of a dead man, and every living soul died in the sea. The third angel poured out his vial upon the rivers and fountains of the water.
I had a precept on the second angel.
Okay.
Just something I noticed in studying. This is literally talking about what it says in Revelations 8, starting at like the 8th verse. All right, I'm going to read that real quick. And the second angel sounded, and as it were, a great mountain burning with fire was cast into the sea, and the third part of the sea became blood. And the third part of the creatures which were in the sea and had life died, and the third part of the ships were destroyed.
Yeah, I think in Revelations, John sees similar events happening at different times or in different ways.
Yeah. Is it safe to say the seals and the vials are pretty much similar?
I think so, in my opinion.
Yeah, I see a lot of like synonymous, like a lot of carryover between them.
Yeah.
I feel like one more detailed, maybe chapter 8 of Revelation may be a little bit more detailed than 16.
Yeah, that's one thing I noticed, because like even the third angel, like in verse 4, that's literally verse 8, like 10 through 11 once again.
Yeah, I gotta find this chart. I'll find this chart of this guy. He made a good chart of the chapters of Revelation and showed how they were very similar. So it was as if John saw the same event just a different way, or So it's like kind of like how some of us have the same or similar dreams, but just different stuff happening, but it's the same thing happening. So, if I take your account of your dream and my account, it's the same event, but we're just seeing two different things or happening two different ways. So.
No, exactly. Just like how in Esdras it talks about like a vision that Daniel had, but it wasn't expounded upon like to him as much.
Right. Verse 5. No, start at verse 4 again. And the third angel poured out his vial upon the rivers and fountains and rivers and fountains of water, and they became blood. And I heard the angel of the waters say, "Thou art righteous, O Lord, which art and was and shall be, because thou hast judged this. For they have shed the blood of the saints and the prophets, and thou hast given them blood to drink, for they are worthy." See, that goes again right there to the this is not for the saints and the prophets. That God's wrath is for the wicked who have shed the blood of the saints and the prophets, which is the children of Israel. Anybody got a precept? I got a couple, but I'll let you guys go first.
I had one, just second Ezra, chapter 1, verse 32, talking about like the shedding the blood of the prophets. All right.
Go
second
ahead.
Ezra, chapter 1, verse 32. And I sent unto you my servants the prophets, whom ye have taken and slain, and torn their bodies in pieces, whose blood I will require of you, of your hand, saith the Lord.
So let's go back to Revelations really quick. Verse 6, and thou hast given them blood to drink. Completely, this is part of, and that's going to be so bad that people will literally be eating their own flesh and drinking their own blood. That's how bad this thing is going to be. Not for us, because again, it's not us. This is Isaiah chapter 49, verse 26. And I will feed those who oppress you with their own flesh, and they shall drink with their own blood as with sweet wine. And all flesh shall know that I, the Lord, am your Savior and your Redeemer, the mighty one of Jacob. And so if you look at the screen, you can see how cross-reference this as chapter 16, verse 6. So even they know what this is referring to.
I had a couple other
Sure.
About like the cup of his wrath.
Oh, one more. This is Isaiah 9 and 20. They carve out what is on their right, but they are still not hungry. They eat what is on the left, but they are still not satisfied. Each one devours the flesh of his own offspring. Wow, that's crazy. But yeah, go ahead. What was yours?
Oh, mine also. Well, the first one was in Jeremiah chapter 25, and start at verse 15. For thus saith the Lord God of Israel unto me, take the wine cup of this fury at my hand, and cause all the nations to whom I send thee to drink it, and they shall drink and be moved and be mad, because of the sword I will send among them. So once again, it's talking about like, just like how you said, like it's not judgment for us; it's for the wicked.
Right.
And another precept to prove that as well. Isaiah 51 and verse 22. Thus saith the Lord thy God. Thus saith thy Lord, the Lord, and thy God that pleadeth the cause of his people. Behold, I have taken out of thine hand the cup of trembling, even the dregs of the cup of my fury. Thou shalt no more drink it again.
Mm-hmm.
So at that time, it's not for us.
Nope. Oh.
No,
wait. You got to finish that one. Verse 23. But I will put it in the hand of them that afflict thee, which has said to thy soul, bow down, that we may go over. And thou hast laid thy body as the ground and as a street to them that went over. So he's, like I said, yeah, it's not in our hands. So, what was your other precept?
No, good catch to tell me to bring out the last verse. I missed that.
Yeah.
Revelations 14, because I think we covered it like slightly, like 2 weeks ago or a week ago.
Mm-hmm.
Revelations 14 and 10. The same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of God, which is poured without mixture into the cup of his indignation, and he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb.
Yeah. I think that's the I think that particular cup of wrath is at judgment, because it says with fire and brimstone. I think that's in hell, my understanding. But yeah, it's the same thing. Like, I mean, so you're gonna suffer here, and then you're gonna suffer there. So yeah. But yeah, it's the wrath. I mean, it's not for us. So when people, don't have an understanding of Revelations, it's yeah, you should be afraid if you're the one oppressing God's people and you're the wicked and you take the mark and you're having your hopes and heart set on Babylon. Yeah, you should be afraid. But other than that, no. Um, it's good news for the saints. Um, verse uh, verse 6. For they have shed the blood of the saints and prophets, and thou hast given them blood to drink, for they are worthy. And I heard another out of the altar say, Even so, Lord God Almighty, true and righteous are thy judgments. And the fourth angel poured out his vial upon the sun, and the power was given unto him to scorch men with fire. And the men were... Okay, go ahead.
For verse 7, Revelation 19 and 2.
Okay, let me have separate revelations. Go ahead.
It says, for true and righteous are his judgments, for he hath judged the great whore, which did corrupt the earth with her fornication, and have avenged the blood of his servants at her hand.
Mm-hmm.
Just going to show how his judgments are true and righteous.
Amen. Verse 8. And the fourth angel poured out his vial upon the sun, and power was given unto him to scorch men with fire. And the men were scorched with great heat, and blasphemed the name of God, which had power over these plagues. And they repented not to give him glory. So again, this is not the remnant. This is not the saints.
I have a question. What do you take the darkness to mean? Like kingdom full of darkness. To me, I take that to my understanding of that is confusion, like how like America is like a melting pot.
Let me read it for the listeners. Verse 10. And the fifth angel poured out his vial upon the seat of the beast, and his kingdom was full of darkness, and they gnawed their tongues for pain. And blasphemed the God of heaven because of their pains and their sores, and repented not of their deeds. I don't know, man. This part right here causes a lot of confusion because it could be exactly what you said, but you hear that 3 days of darkness predictions that keep going around, and they relate that to Egypt's darkness. When they had, I'm not sure if it's, well, I think in the book of Jasher it says 3 days. It talks about the 3 days. It lasted 3 days, so I think that's where they get the 3 days from. But in Egypt,
I think I'm gonna say in Egypt. I think that's what it's referring to, because America is kind of similar to Egypt.
Yeah. Let me pull the script so we can actually.
That's Exodus 10 and 21.
Okay, perfect.
Or at least that's one of them anyway.
Yeah, well, we can start from there to use that as a reference point. The one in Jasher, I mean, it just talks about how it is, like what happened, gives you more detail. So let's do Exodus. You said 10 and 1?
Mm-hmm.
And the Lord said...
Exodus is good too.
Oh, 10 and 2.
No, I was saying Edris he gives good detail too.
Oh, he gives good detail. Okay, they said Exodus. Let me pull up.
No. I did say Exodus, but I'm saying I knew you was going to Edris.
Oh, okay.
Edris
Yeah. Exodus, days of darkness. I'm not sure which exact verse that is, but yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. I think it could be either or. It could be both. The ninth plague. So 10 and 21. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, 10 and 21. Verse 20. But the Lord hardened Pharaoh's heart so that he would not let the children of Israel go. And the Lord said unto Moses, Stretch out thine hand toward heaven, that there may be darkness over the land of Egypt, even darkness that may be felt. And Moses stretched forth his hand toward heaven, and there was a thick darkness in all the land of Egypt 3 days. They saw not one another, neither rose any from his place for 3 days. But all the children of Israel had light in their dwellings. So, is that the same darkness that's coming? You know, like
I think so. Me personally.
darkness so thick that you can feel it.
Yeah.
But just for reference, let's just go to Jasher. Now, for the listeners, my personal take on Jasher is there's a lot of bones in it because the Gentiles had it since 70 AD to mess with it. So, you know, if you don't have a good foundation on the Bible, the 66, or a decent foundation, I wouldn't go into this. But it talks about the days of the days of darkness. So I'll let you guys decide. This is, and we're only going to this for the sake of giving more detail on the days of darkness. So again, I'm not saying you should read it. I'm not saying you shouldn't. I'll let you decide. That was verse darkness. Okay, verse 36. And God sent darkness upon Egypt, and the whole land of Egypt and Pathros became dark for 3 days, so that a man could not see his hand when he lifted it to his mouth. At that time died many of the people of Israel who had rebelled against the Lord, and who would not hearken to Moses and Aaron, and believed not in them that God had sent them, who had said, We will not go forth from Egypt, lest we perish with hunger in a desolate wilderness. We will not hearken to the voice of Moses. And the Lord plagued them in the 3 days of darkness, and Israelites buried them in those days, without the Egyptians knowing of them or rejoicing over them. And the darkness was very great in Egypt for 3 days, and any person who was standing when the darkness came remained standing in his place, that he was sitting remained sitting. He that was lying continued lying in that same state. When he was walking around, remained sitting upon the ground in that same spot. This thing happened to all the Egyptians until the darkness has passed. And in the days of darkness passed away, the Lord said unto Moses and Aaron to the children of Israel, saying, Celebrate your feast and make your Passover. For behold, I come in the midst of the night amongst all the Egyptians. I will smite the firstborn from the firstborn of a man to the firstborn of a beast. When I see your Passover, I will pass over you. Okay, so yeah, that darkness was really thick. So, so again, if this is going to be a physical darkness, so now that we read those two accounts, let's go back to Revelations and see what. Let's read this. Verse 10. And the fifth angel poured out his vial upon the seat of the beast, and his kingdom was full of darkness. And they gnawed their tongues for pain, and blasphemed the God of heaven because of their pains and their sores, and repented not of their deeds. Okay. I think that's physical.
Well, I can see that. I still kind of see it both ways, but I can definitely see, because I do think it's like a similitude. Like, I think it can be like the physical darkness for 3 days, like that plague coming to like America. And I also could see it in reference to like just it being the land of confusion, because like let me bring these out real quick. I had 2 precepts on like the seed of the beast.
Sure.
Revelations 13 and 2 would be the first one, just to show that this is like talking about America.
Oh yeah, we definitely know that. Go ahead.
All right. And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, and his feet were as the feet of a bear, and his mouth was as the mouth of a lion. The dragon gave him his power and his seat and great authority. So we still see that like the seat of the beast.
Right. Yeah. No, it'd be interesting to see, because I guess the thing to me that says this is physical. It says, and they gnawed their tongues for pain. Like that's pretty painful. Like that's and blaspheme the God of heaven because of their pains and their sores, and repented not of their deeds. So I think the pains and their sores are from the other vials, from those that take the mark, or worship the image of the beast, and still says they repented not. So um, let me go
And
up
I
for.
see a lot of. I was going to say real quick. I see a lot of correlation with that and Egypt as well. Just like how Pharaoh didn't repent.
Mm-hmm. Okay, here we go. Now this is the one I want to read again because people kept making this comment, and now that we talking it out and going over these verses, I gotta read. I have to read this again. This is verse 2. And the first went and poured out his vial upon the earth, and there fell a noisome and grievous sore upon the men which had the mark of the beast, and upon them that worshipped his image. Now, the reason I want to read this again is because people keep saying, or they were saying, that, oh, if you take the mark, you're going to have a sore on your right hand or forehead. This never says that. It could be anywhere. You see?
Yeah. It what was that plague that they got in Egypt? Because I do see
with the boils.
Yes, boils. I see a lot of carryover with that as well.
Right.
Hey, if it's missiles, you're gonna get hit with radiation. That could happen.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, yeah. So, now, I mean, the defenses of this country is so weak they don't even need nukes. I mean, they can use standard ballistic missiles. So even if you use that, you're still going to have a noisome and grievous sore. So, the righteous will be protected. So those that are getting shrapnel and all that, yeah, you're going to have some painful sores. And so I think, I don't know if you guys ever heard that story about people who were getting getting a chip or getting, chipped or whatever. They were having sores on their right hand. Like, this never says that. So that's why I had to read it again, because it just says they will have noisome and grievous sores. So, like, once you're marked by the beast, um, you know, how those sores get there is because of the vaccine, whatever, who knows. But you're gonna have some sore somewhere, some wounds, some boils, something physical to show, that you had that. So that's interesting. I had to read that again because, yeah, people keep saying that, and then when we were talking about it, I had to go back and read that. Verse 11, and did you have another precept about the darkness?
I was gonna just bring up something about when the sun and the moon shall not give their light. I think that was in Matthew 24.
Oh yeah, I think that is. We can definitely go there. I think that is before, right before Christ shows up, which I think it might be different from this type of darkness. But who knows? Let's read it. I think the exact verse.
No, but if it ain't got nothing to do with it.
No. We can read it because I mean it's. Okay, here we go. Verse 29. Immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from heaven, and the powers of the heavens shall be shaken. And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven, and shall all the tribes of the earth mourn, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. And he shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of the heaven to the other. Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, I guess, that goes to, it says they mourning, I mean, for they shall see him coming. But yeah, now this will be interesting because this is the fifth vial, and you have two more, I think. But yeah, this is going to be interesting. This is verse 12. And the sixth angel poured out his vial upon the great river Euphrates. So we know that's an actual place. And the water thereof was dried up by the way of the kings of the east might be prepared.
I had a point I wanted to bring out about this.
Sure.
You might be able to just like Google it, but that's actually already like started to happen.
Yeah, I heard.
Should have sent you the article, but like I saw an article this week, like it was from like 2016, basically like about how like it's been drying up and it's causing like like almost like famine in those areas, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Just thought that was interesting.
Catastrophic drought threatens Iraq as major dams and surrounding countries cut off water to its great rivers. So, for those that don't know, the Euphrates is in modern day Iraq, which was ancient Babylon. Okay. So yeah, if you guys Google that, there has been lots of reports of it's drying up, which is causing droughts and famines and stuff like that. So, yeah. Oh, the rivers of Iraq. Oh, shoot. There's that section right there. Internet is slow today. Okay, here we go. I once rescued a friend from drowning when he was swept away by the force of the current as we were swimming in the Delilah River, says Quasem Sabati, a painter and gallery owner in Baghdad. That was 50 years ago, he recalls. I went back there recently, and the water in the Delilah is so shallow today that a man could walk across it with his dog. The rivers of Iraq are the rivers of Iraq. Above all, the Tigris and Euphrates are drying up. The country is becoming more arid, and desertification is eating into the limited amount of agricultural land. Dams built upriver in Turkey, Syria, and Iran since 1970 have reduced the flow of water that reaches Iraq as much as half, and the situation is getting worse. On July 1st, Turkey will start filling the Ilusi Dam on the Tigris, and this will cause another decline in inflows to our country, about 50%, Hassan Janabi, Minister of Water Resources, told The Independent. He says that Iraq used to get 30 billion cubic meters of water a year from the Euphrates, but now we are happy if we get 16 billion cubic meters. Wow. Yeah. So you see right here on the map, the Tigris and the Euphrates. The Euphrates is where the border of true Israel stops. So it was from the Nile, the borders that God gave Abraham, from the east of the Nile to the Euphrates. So as long as the Euphrates goes, all the way down to the east of the Nile is supposed to be Israel. So the Euphrates goes all the way up here. All this is supposed to be true Israel. So, can you imagine if we still had that today, how many oil reserves we would have? I mean, jeez Louise. But, yeah, so all of this is true Israel. And I think if you start going into Arabia, Saudi Arabia, it stops at Mecca. So north of Mecca, everything north of Mecca is part of true Israel. So yeah, that's interesting.
Didn't it take from like the Nile to the Euphrates?
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So all of this is supposed to be modern, true Israel. So, and the Nile stops, or the Euphrates, if you go directly across, it stops right above Mecca. So everything south of that would be for Arabia. But yeah, so all of this. So when so when Christ gets back, a lot of these lines will be redistributed. These borders will be redistributed. So.
And that won't be enough to contain us all anyway. I don't even think so.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, first with the purging, but yeah, when we, yeah, it'll be interesting. But yeah, so that is actually drying up as we speak. Verse 13. And I saw three unclean spirits like frogs come out of the mouth of the dragon, out of the mouth of the beast, and out of the mouth of the false prophet. For they are the spirits of devils working miracles, which go forth unto the kings of the earth and unto the whole world to gather them to battle of that great day of God Almighty.
I have a precept on this.
Sure.
Well, my understanding of the three unclean spirits, I understand the dragon spirit to be politics. The reason I come to that conclusion is Revelations 13 and 2, where it talks about like the beast, and I'm not going to read like the whole thing. Like we know like the breakdown with like the leopard, the bear, the lion, but it says the dragon gave him his power and his seat. Mm-hmm. And then when you go down to verse 11 in chapter 13, mm-hmm. It talks about, and I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had two horns like a lamb and spake as a dragon. And, you know, we understand that to be Democrat, you know, Republican. Mm-hmm. The false prophet, we know that to be like religion. Mm-hmm. And I base that again in chapter 14, where chapter 13, verse 14.
Oh, okay.
Where it says, and deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which you had power to do in the sight of a beast, saying to them, no, I don't think that's the right one. Hold
on. That would be 14 and 15.
Yes, 14 and 15. Where it talks about like the false prophet, that being like religion.
Mm-hmm. He had power to give image of the beast, that the image of the beast should speak and cause as many that would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. Yeah. Yeah, I definitely believe the false prophet is the false religion, starting with the Catholic Church, because that's where all the, not so much false religion, false Christianity, because that's where the main, you know, the abominations and all of that come from. Doctrine of the Nicolaitans, Doctrine of Balak, image of the beast.
The crazy thing is you can actually see that throughout like history, where it talks about like by the sword, like killing them by the sword, mm-hmm. They would worship the image. Like what did they do during colonizing?
Yeah, colonization, Spanish Inquisition, the Crusades. Even now, I mean, you know, if you don't believe our government, I mean, if you don't accept our government to do what they want in your country, we're going to cut off foreign aid or invade and call you terrorists. So, yeah. Where are we?
Did y'all say we in between the 6, 5, and 7? Like we kind of in between?
Yeah, see, now this is where I'm like, I don't know. Because the grievous sore, yeah, I mean, that could be from war. That could be pestilence. That could be from, you know, taking the vaccine or, you know, taking the mark or a chip or whatever. So, yeah, because it says grievous sore. So you could see it and they can feel it. Yeah, the ones that are blood, we see that in some red rivers and all that stuff. So rivers of blood. But yeah, I would say, you know, if we're seeing we're talking about the darkness being physical darkness, yeah, I don't think we're there yet. So I think that's the. I mean, you see
Right,
lots
right.
of rivers turning into blood, and that was from 2016. So, um, but yeah, when it comes to the point of there's famine and that's what they have to drink, then yeah, I think we're there. Uh, so yeah, my personal opinion, I really don't know.
I've heard different people say different things, so I thought I'd ask.
Yeah, the sixth angel. So where are we? Oh, okay. Verse 15. Behold, I come as a thief. Blessed is he that watcheth and keep his garments, lest he walk naked, and they see his shame. And he gathered them together in a place called in the Hebrew tongue Armageddon. And the seventh angel poured out his vial into the air, and there came a great voice out of the temple of heaven from the throne, saying, It is done. And there were voices and thunders and lightnings, and there was a great earthquake, such as not since men were upon the earth, so mighty an earthquake, and so great. So I think that's coming. Um, Verse 19. And the great city was divided into three parts, and the cities of the nations fell, and great Babylon came in remembrance before God to give her cup of the wine of the fierceness of his wrath. And every island fled away, and the mountains were not found. And there fell upon men great hail out of heaven, every stone about the weight of a talent, and men blasphemed God because of the plague of hail. For the plague
Sound,
thereof was exceeding great.
sound like missiles.
Yeah,
Missiles can move islands,
yeah,
cause mountains to be
yeah.
broken down.
Now, I have a precept for verse 19. And the great city was divided into three parts, and the cities of the nations fell, and great Babylon came into the remembrance. So we know that great city is talking about New Babylon, aka America. So let me show you a map. Um, USA. There's a let me pull this up. There's a flood map. I completely forgot about this. So here's a good one. So this is a map of America broken into three parts. Give it to load up. Okay. So right here you have America broken into three parts. So that great city, uh, East Coast, Central, the West Coast. So going back to Revelations um, 18, and there was a great earthquake, such as was not since men were upon the earth, so mighty an earthquake, and so great. And the great city was divided into three parts. So I believe that great earthquake is that's the big one, quotations, the one that's going to do in California. So um, that's my opinion on that. Um,
That's a good one. That's good.
yeah. I had
I
another.
knew the great city was America, but I just didn't know what that meant by three parts.
Yeah, and when it says the islands, I mean, I really believe that's the islands are rolled away. Um, so I believe at this point, I think we'll be out of America by this happens, or um, we'll be spared. I don't know, So, and every island fled away, and the mountains were not found. And there fell upon men great hail out of heaven, and every stone about the weight of a talent. And the men blasphemed God because of the plague of hail. For the plague thereof was exceeding great. So,
I had a quick precept about the great earthquake.
Mm-hmm.
Revelation 6 started verse 12. Because I see a lot of carryover between like the seventh vial and the sixth seal.
Mm-hmm.
And I beheld when he opened the sixth seal, and lo, there was a great earthquake, and the sun became black as sackcloth of hair, and the moon became as blood, and the stars of heaven fell to the earth, even as a fig tree casteth untimely figs when she is shaken with a mighty wind. And then it's also talked about in Revelations 11, in verse 12. And they heard a great voice from heaven saying unto them, Come up hither. And they ascended up to heaven in a cloud, and their enemies beheld them. In the same hour was there a great earthquake, and the 10th part of the city fell, and in the earthquake were slain 7,000, slain of men 7,000, and the remnant were affrighted and gave glory to the God of heaven.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the remnant are still protected. So, yeah. There's definitely a lot of correlation.
There was that verse you read before that one talks about the sun being black as sackcloth. I was just going into that darkness again.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I think it's. I mean, I think the darkness. I think that darkness is talking about definitely could be spiritual, which people are acting crazy but just from the correlation from the others, I think that is physical as well.
I wanted to bring something out because while y'all was going on, I was trying to find this specific part. I thought it was in Esdras, but it's really in Wisdom of Solomon, where Solomon.
Sure, you got the.
It's kind of nice. It's Wisdom of Solomon 17. Really, when you read like 15, 16, 17, and 18, he talks about all that. I got like in chapter 17, I got about 4 verses I want to get into.
Okay. Go ahead. What verse? You there? Sons of Zion KC, you are on mute.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. You want me to read it?
Yeah, if you can, go ahead.
Sure. Starting at verse 1. Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 17, verse 1. For great are thy judgments, and cannot be expressed. Therefore, unnurtured souls have erred. For when unrighteous men thought to oppress the holy nation, their being shut up in their houses, the prisoners of darkness, and fettered with bonds of a long night, lay there exiled from their eternal providence. While they're supposed to lie hid in their secret sins, they were scattered under a dark veil of forgetfulness, being horribly astonished and troubled with strange apparitions. Thank you. For neither might the corner that they held them keep them from fear, but noises as of water falling down sounded about them, and sad visions appeared unto them with heavy countenance. No power of the fire might give them light, neither could the bright flames of the stars endure to lighten that horrible night. Only there appeared unto them a fire kindled of itself, very dreadful. For being much terrified, they thought the things which they saw to be worse than the sight they saw not. As for the illusions, art, magic, they were put down, and their vaunting in wisdom was reproved with disgrace. For they, that promised to drive away terrors and troubles from a sick soul, were sick themselves of fear, worthy to be laughed at. For though no terrible thing did fear them, yet being scared with the beasts that passed by and hissing of serpents. They died for fear, denying that they saw the air, which could of no side be avoided. For wickedness condemned by their own witness is very timorous, and being pressed with conscience always forecasteth grievous things. For fear is nothing else but betraying of the succors which reason offered, and the expectation from within being less counted the ignorance more than the cause which bringeth the torment. But they sleeping the same slept that night, which was indeed intolerable, and which came upon them out of the bottoms of inevitable hell, were partly vexed with monstrous operations. Say that again. Apparitions, and partly fainted, their heart failing them, for a sudden fear, and not looked for, came upon them.
That's it, really. I just wanted to show how the darkness that Egypt was getting was giving them apparitions. Like, it was so bad that they started seeing things that wasn't even there, hearing things that wasn't even there.
Oh yeah, and it said darkness. I think that's in Revelations. Darkness. Well, and I think Exodus or Jasher. It was so thick that you could feel it. So, yeah.
I think also in Matthew 24 he says gross thick darkness.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you could feel it. So
yeah,
these guys were literally going crazy because they thought something was there. You heard sounds, you heard hissing, and you thought you heard a beast walk by. Yeah.
It's bad.
I had a couple precepts on verse 20. I don't see like the entirety of the seventh seal being this, but I do think like a part of it does go into like an ICBM missile when it talks about the every island fled away and the mountains were not found.
Mm-hmm.
And where I get that from is when you go to Revelation 6:14, and it says, "And the heaven departed as a scroll when it is rolled together, and every mountain and island were moved out of their places." Right?
Mm-hmm.
Pull up that picture. He pulled up that picture.
Oh,
I got two more real quick.
Oh, the one of the mushroom clouds.
Mm-hmm. Like the scroll when it's rolled together.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You said you got two more?
Yeah, just dealing with that real
sure.
quick.
Go ahead.
All right. Next one would be Isaiah 54 and verse 16. "Behold, I have created the smith that bloweth the coals in the fire, and that work bringeth forth an instrument for his work. And I have created the waster to destroy."
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
Good precepts, boy.
And then just one last one, because I feel like Zechariah literally like saw that, like the apparatus. And I'm gonna kind of prove that. Zechariah chapter 5 and verse 1 through 4. "Then I turned and lifted up mine eyes, and looked, and behold, a flying roll. And he said unto me, What seest thou? And I answered, I see a flying roll. The length thereof is 20 cubits, and the breadth thereof 10 cubits. Now, real quick, Leo, if you don't mind, can you look up 20 cubits to feet? Because something I found in study with this was like interesting. Because like the dimensions actually like match up with like the size of like an ICBM missile.
Mm-hmm. 20 cubits to feet is 30 feet.
Mm-hmm. Sounds like a nuke to me. Like whenever you see them on like especially like the ones in like China and Russia, and they have like those big political parades. But no, I just wanted to bring that out real quick.
Right, no, that's interesting. Yeah, so I guess he's looking at it from horizontal. Yeah. No, not how long can a missile last, but let's say how long. But yeah, they're various in feet. So yeah, that's interesting. So I think that's about it for chapter 16. You guys want to stop here?
Yeah, that's cool, man.
Yeah, I was gonna say a lot of these ones, like later in Revelations, it might just be like a chapter a week because it's like a lot to go through.
Right. I agree
For real.
because
16 shoot was a lot, and we ain't even. It could have been way longer. For real.
yeah, it's quite a bit in 16. 17 is going to be extremely long.
Oh, matter of fact, I do have one more precept real quick.
Sure.
In verse 16, just when it talks about Armageddon.
Verse 16. Okay.
All right. Joel 3:2.
Oh yeah.
I will also gather all nations and bring them down to the valley of Jehoshaphat, and will plead with them for my people and for my heritage Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations and parted my land.
Okay, that's a really good one. I forgot all about that one. One thing about that where it says "part of my land," that's where they did the Suez Canal.
Right, that's a man-made built. No, that wasn't there at first.
No, that was actually man-made.
It was made in like 1912 or it's like early 1900s.
Construction started 1859.
Oh, 1859.
Well,
even before.
Yeah, 1859. Date completed 1869. So it took them about 10 years to complete the Suez Canal.
Does it say why they did that?
To split Israel from Africa.
Yeah. So, and if you spell Suez backwards, is Zeus.
Devils. Greek.
Yeah. So yeah, they literally parted his land, which is Israel, because it goes from the east of the Nile to the Euphrates. So
they gotta know that it was in 1850 though, because for them not to like get into the land until like 1942, it shows that there was like a lot of pre-planning.
Oh yeah. And so I guess here shows a shipping route from the Suez Canal around here that it made it easier for them to go from India to the UK and Europe to the Mediterranean versus going around Africa to do that. But yeah, also to split Israel. So, and yeah.
That's crazy. I never knew it was 1850. So that happened in 1851. The Balfour Declaration was signed in 1917, and then they got in the land in 1942.
It was pre-planned.
Oh yeah. So if you put a big old line through Egypt, you can say, "Oh yeah, Israel is the Middle East." Which
yeah, that's what we
East, man.
Yeah.
It's for real. It was on the same continent as Africa.
Yeah. But yeah, that's interesting.
That's crazy. That's decent.
That's where a lot of these arguments like come in. Like, well, how would you think that Africa or like so-called black people could be Israelites, etc.? They were in Asia.
Yeah. There's some videos that you could see them.
Asia Minor or something like that.
Yeah, Asia Minor.
Yeah. Which is Africa.
Yeah.
Modern day Turkey. So it's like that's not a continent. Asia Minor. So, but yeah. So
during Alexander the Greek, wasn't that part of like the Greek land?
Yeah. So modern day. Let's go back to this.
Like Turkey.
Yeah. So modern day Turkey was part of ancient Greece. So let's go to. I'm just gonna bring up an actual Turkey. Yeah. So yeah, modern day Turkey. So like all the places that Christ is talking about in the beginning of Revelations, this is that was still part of ancient Greece. So I think after the when the Roman Empire fell, and then a lot of the Khazars came from, I guess, Asia or whatever. This became Turkey. So, um, but yeah, nah, ancient Greece was a lot. Yeah, ancient Greece was, this was part of ancient Greece with the, let me see, let me try to put it together. Greece and Turkey on the map.
Yeah, because they got the Cyprus island right there, Mediterranean Sea. Yeah, that's Greece.
Yeah, so when it wasn't, when you're talking about Asian Minor, that wasn't um, Turks, that Paul was talking to or whatever, or we were dealing with Greece. So all of this right here was part of ancient Greece. And then after the Roman Empire fell and the Khazars moved into Turkey, or this part of Greece, Greece's footprint became smaller. So, yeah. But yeah, so that's pretty interesting.
It's crazy how nobody really defeated Rome. They just end up having divisions within their own selves.
Mm-hmm.
The same thing going on now.
Yeah, I agree. So I guess that ends it for this week. So I think we're going to stick to a chapter a week for the remaining chapters because they're pretty long and it relates back to some of the earlier chapters, and there's a lot of precepts to go into this one. So I don't have anything else. Anything else you guys have I want to bring out?
No, I don't have anything else. That was edifying.
Okay. Well, if all hearts and minds are clear, let's go ahead and end it. Pray that everyone has a blessed week. Continue to stay strong, stay faithful, stay patient, stay in the presence of the Lord as much as we can. And, we're almost out of here. So I'll see you guys next week with the continuing chapters. So,
all right. Hey, shalom, brother.
Shalom. Y'all stay blessed.
Shalom.